Hello, my name is Jean-Michel. If you're new to the channel, a warm welcome to you. Today we're going to be looking at tone, in particular Van Halen's tone, and how I achieve the Van Halen tones on my computer, and that is via VST plugins. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so let's get started here. We've got, in my case, I've got Cubase opened up and I've created a project with my track of choice, which is Take Your Whiskey Home, of Women and Children First. And then I recorded alongside that my own version of it. So you got my guitar down there and then the track at the top. So the first thing you want to do is set up a loop and set it going. And then you want to have a way of switching between the tracks. So I can solo my track and then quickly jump to the Van Halen. Like so. I just put together a sound quickly here. I've got a JSM 900 plugin and you see everything's set pretty standard. You know, I've taken just a tiny bit of mids away from middle, a fair amount of gain. And then you want to set your guitar all the way over to the left side. Strange memories. Because that's where Eddie's residing in the mix. Makes it easier for comparison. So just before I had my distortion, I've got a little bit of, a bit of an EQ going on. I've set up an EQ here, bit of bass roll off, bit of mids coming out, and then just an area that my pickup's quite hot. So moving on, we've got the next EQ that I put, where I've taken yet more bass out, a little mid hump, and then a little dip. So there's mine. And ready. So again, further EQing. The next EQ, I've got a little spike at the top there, give a bit of shine on the top end, and a bit of a mid hump there, and then a dip again around the low mids kind of area. See how that sounds. Without and with. Here's the next EQ. Again, just trying to get rid of the trashiness in the high end there. And the next one, more bass roll off, more trebles coming out. And here you can see more trebles. Just trying to filter out anything. That sounds a bit harsh. And just keep comparing. Great, so then I've got that track going into a master track, a group channel track rather, and where I did one final EQ, and then I've got a limiter, which is basically going to crush the sound and make it more compressed. So I've just got the limiter working. Then it's time for a bit of reverb. And you want to set up your reverb like a plate reverb setting. Plenty of pre-delay. I go for about 50 or 60. Time is 1.52, you can see. And it's also quite a good idea to have a master EQ. So this time it is on the master. Master EQ that you can just sweep the frequencies just to keep checking between Eddie and your own. And that's super useful just for hearing every frequency, just A-Bing and just making sure that you've got it as close as you can. Just keep switching. So there you go. And that just helped me to get all these kind of tones It works so well. This one, I'm quite happy with it. So that gives you a little bit of an insight. You might find, you might be surprised at how much of it is EQ. But that's, I think is the key. The key is to get a really good EQ balance. So you need good response from your pickup to the distortion, a good response, and then a good EQ balance. And between that, you can get pretty close. It's not going to make you play more like Van Halen, but it will make you sound closer. And that's half the battle, is to get the right tone. And the rest of it is just the practice that you put in, all your man hours. So a couple of points to note here. Obviously, the closer you can play this to the way that he plays it, the easier it will be to get the right result. Obviously, that goes without saying. And also, your gear might be a little bit different to my gear. And also, the interface you're using makes a big difference. I'm using a Focusrite Scarlett 212. You can look that up. I'll put a link in the description. So that changes the sound quite a lot, depending on if you're using that or a different interface. That can really make a big difference about the sound coming in, which will affect your distortion and so on and so on. So you just have to adapt what I'm saying to the things you have. You might have a different distortion, or your EQs might look different to mine. That doesn't matter. The whole point is that you just, adapt this to whatever circumstances you're in. So I hope that covers everything. If you have any questions, then please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and until next time.